Hey everybody, how you doing? It's a wintry day in New York City. I went to get to the bus this morning. It's Saturday. It was about 15, 20 below with the wind chill. Woo-hoo-hoo! In fact, I had one passenger get off the bus today and get blown to the side about 2 or 3 feet. It was crazy. And here's Porge. It's been a while since we've done Porge in the lap on the chair. How you doing, buddy? You want to say hi to everybody? Mm-hmm. Say hi. Oh, I'm jealous. He got to sit inside and just snuggle all day with Loki. Anyways, this is a TikTok only video. Usually I kind of make a video like this and I'll spread it around to Instagram, Facebook, whatever else there is out there, YouTube. This one's just for TikTok. Because as many of you know, the last 6 years of my life were insane. I'm an autistic survivor of one of the worst cases of long COVID most of my doctors have ever seen. I had chronic insomnia so bad I hardly slept at all for 5 years. And it took over a year plus to recover from it. And during all that, I lost just about everything, from family and friends to romantic partners, jobs, opportunity, life savings. But I just didn't stop getting up. I just didn't stop pushing forward. I knew that, and I was in South Carolina when all of this started. I knew that if I could just get somewhere like New York, I could find a cure. And at the time, we didn't even know it was long COVID. But I'm allergic to sleep medication, so nobody could figure out what to do. But when I got here about a year later, after moving here, we finally found a cure. And here I am today. And TikTok has been kind of an oddly important part of my recovery. One of my first posts generated something like 200,000 views. But back then I was a stuttering, twitching mess. My life was in total shambles. I hardly was even able to communicate. But the generosity and encouragement and kindness of so many perfect strangers who I'd never met and maybe never will meet came through on, of all places, a social media account that a lot of people make fun of. And yeah, maybe I'm a bit older to be a TikToker. And I know a lot of you fell in love with Loki and Porge. And they're not just my pets, they're my medical support animals. You can see why. Somebody going through tough times. If you got a buddy like this beside your side. But anyway, I think it's funny because you want to stay? You want to say hi? Say hello. Okay, you can stay here while I chat. Oh, how about we do a big belly rub? Oh, does that feel good? Well, the funny thing is I amassed a following of like 8,000, 10,000 people, something like that, whatever. But what I find really funny is, hey buddy, you just want to stay in my lap? Oh, okay, he's sticking around. What I found interesting is that about a month or so ago, when I finally announced to everybody that I was recovered, I lost like 300 to 400 followers within a week. And it kind of was ironic. It was like, wait, you liked me when I was, quote unquote, obviously disabled. But the second that I recovered, you walked away? Which is funny. I still have autism. And there are still days when I have trouble communicating a little bit or in instances. And all the problems I had back then are still problems for me today. It's just I'm finally recovered from 5.5 years of extreme sleep deprivation. So anyways, I just find that ironic. Just wanted to share that with you. And then a couple weeks ago, I started making some political posts. As many of you know, I ran for Congress in 2016 in South Carolina. In fact, I won the closest federal election in U.S. history. The primary for that election was decided by, I think, 42 votes, 43 votes. As near as I can tell, and I've been told, it's the closest federal election ever. But anyways, I'd taken a long break from politics going back to 2018. It burned me out, even before I had long COVID. And I did a lot of activism as well. And I just needed a long break from politics. I'd done my tour of duty in 2015. I did my best to warn the world about Donald Trump with some really big national articles I wrote. But after being inspired by the people of my hometown, Minneapolis, I mean, I'm a native Minnesotan. And now that I'm recovered, I just couldn't be quiet, so I started making political posts. And I lost another 400 followers. So in the span of maybe a month and a half, 2 months, I've lost 1/10 of all my followers on TikTok. And it just makes me funny. It makes me laugh a little bit to myself that, wait a second, once people found out I was recovered, they didn't want to follow me anymore? Once people found out that I stood up for what's right for everyone, they didn't want to follow me anymore? Well, I guess I can't really miss those people. But I just think, social media is a really fickle thing. When I ran for Congress, I had, I don't know, something like 30,000 followers, but I just hated the medium so much because I'm a word dude. As you guys know, I can be a little long-winded. That's just who I am. And so I got rid of my Twitter account. A lot of people would have said, well, that was the stupidest thing ever. I was like, no, it just wasn't for me. I mean, I don't care if I have 5 followers or 1 million followers. I'm still going to say the same things. I mean, when I wrote for 2 major national websites way back when, before I ran for Congress. And I was read by millions of people, and I could track it on Google AdSense in all but 3 countries of the whole world. And to me, it wasn't about the money, it's not about fame, it's not about how many, it's about reaching the one person who really needs to be reached. And over time, those types of people have reached out to me and said, you made a difference in my life at that moment. And so I'm going to keep being an advocate for autism, because a lot of people with autism can't be an advocate for it. They don't have the capacity. So I'm going to be an advocate on all our behalves. And when a lot of people meet me and I say I'm autistic, they look at me and go, no, you're not. What am I supposed to say to that? Well, I'm sorry, but I have 40 doctors that will tell you otherwise, and a string of tests. Of course, I didn't find out I had autism until I was 48. When I described long COVID to them and what severe sleep deprivation does to you, and by the way, there are 200 plus symptoms for long COVID. You should look it up. Long COVID is a real thing. Many people's lives have been completely destroyed because COVID triggered some terrible symptom in them and left everyone in their social network just confused beyond belief by what was happening. Well, anyway, it's just a short, 8.5 minutes so far. I'll cut myself off at 10, I promise. Little video going, I just don't get social media. You follow me when I'm really sick, and so many of you were so generous for my GoFundMe campaign back then. But when I'm better, you walk away? Maybe you got bored of Loki and Porch. I don't know. Anyways, if you want to read all the details, you can go to Bronx Nights. It's on Amazon. The subtitle again is An Epic Autistic Long COVID Big Apple Memoir. You want to know what it really was like the last couple of years? There you go. And this is my most popular book on Amazon. It's called Uber Nights. When I was in South Carolina, I was an Uber driver and a Lyft driver for 5 years. Lots of funny stories in there, including one about a naked woman who got into my Uber once. I also had somebody get in with chickens and roosters. There wasn't a day that went by where there wasn't a crazy story. Anyways, I'm recovered. And one last thing, I might go over the 10-minute mark just a wee bit. There's a lot of former people in my life, former good friends, former colleagues, former romantic partners that I can see spying on me on social media. And I don't know. A lot of those people met me for the first time when I was ill. They never got to see me for who I am. And a lot of the people who knew me before that are like, who's this guy now? Because it's not just that I'm better, I'm changed irrevocably for the better. And I'm here to stay. These days, I drive a bus around all 5 boroughs in New York City. In fact, today was a bingo bus day. I hit all 5 boroughs in one day: Staten Island, Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. That's a long day on a 20-degree minus weather. 20-degree minus weather day. I'm a little tired. Driving 10 hours and all of that. Woo! Anyways, I know only a few of you will get to the very end of this, and I know how social media works. You might watch for 15, 20 seconds, throw a heart out there. But there's 1 or 2 of you, or a handful of you, maybe a dozen of you that'll get to the end and go, no, I got autism too, or I have long COVID, or I didn't know what that was, but I think I know somebody who has long COVID, or wow, that's just quite the story, and I'm going through some stuff too. If he can make it, then I can make it. And that's why I was telling you about my 2 books, especially Bronx Nights. The only way I survived these last 6 years was because I refused to give in. I knew there was another side. I knew I just had to get to the other side of the river. If I could just find a cure, if I could just be given the time to recover. And here I am. And there you are. And Porridge and Loki are somewhere around here, waiting for their tuna treat. For those of you who stuck around and who actually follow, watch, or listen to at least a tenth of what I put out there, even less, thank you. Thanks for hanging in there. I'm not going anywhere. I don't care if it just comes down to 12 followers.